Welcome back to another great episode of Comedians in Bed. And this is a podcast where comedians can just be comedians. As always, I really don't know what that means, but it just sounds like something you should say, on a podcast. And as always, we got a great guest here with us today. And as you can tell, as you've been seeing from the past episodes, I'm actually in my bed. I don't like to be in my bed during this podcast because it comes off a little creepy, but my air's not working. It's the coolest place that we have in my apartment. So this is where we're gonna do it at. This is where we're gonna be at. But this next comedian, man, she's super funny. She's super talented. And I'm so grateful that we have her on this podcast. If you know her, you know that she is somewhat of professional sunshine, as she says. Give it up for the very funny, the very talented Tennah McDonald, everybody. What up, though?
I like that you're like this is the coolest part of the apartment. I was like, yeah, that is cat energy. I'm just like, I have to be where it's chilly. Excuse me.
Man, listen, I was trying to be cute, get this little apartment, get the third floor, the highest floor, be like, yeah, I got a little bachelor pad. It was the dumbest thing I ever thought of in my life.
It's
Like
a cool
all the
idea in theory, but like we're grown ups. I'm just like, it's so
yeah.
hot.
I realized it was a dumb decision actually a couple months ago when we had some tornadoes come through here. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, by the way.
Okay.
And I was like, they was like, yeah, everybody, you got to get to shelter, go to your basement. I was like, fuck, I don't got a basement. And then like if I go downstairs, there's like two exit doors, and there's like that's it. There's no type of shelter down there. So yeah, for tornado come, my little ass is swept away for sure.
Oh no, I literally just watched Twister for the first time in forever. Like yesterday, because I was cleaning the house and background noise. I was like, I forgot how silly this movie is. Is just
Yeah.
Helen Hunt just being like, I'm gonna avenge my dad's death by chasing this tornado. I'm like, that is some white woman shit, and we love to see it.
I actually want to see the new one. It's called Twisters, I
Sisters,
think.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. I don't really like reboots, but I like the movie Twister. I like those natural disaster movies. I think they suck in real life, but I like them. They're pretty cool. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
do entice, especially I feel like natural disaster movies, just like it could happen. Especially like when Twister came out, like Indiana people were like, oh, this is for us. This is for us Midwesterners.
It really is, man. But it's so crazy to be seeing tornadoes like everywhere now. It's just like, dang, bruh. Like life is just, I wasn't expecting this growing up, man. That's crazy. Are you from Indianapolis?
I'm originally from Newcastle, Indiana.
Okay. All right. All right.
It's a place.
Newcastle.
It is. From the way I describe Newcastle, Indiana, we have the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, and then we're like methy. We're just like a little methy.
Yeah.
We're a place. We're like 45 minutes east of Indianapolis. So when I moved here, it was like definitely a culture shock. I'm like, first off, there's like tons of brown people. Two, there's so many big skyscrapers. I was like,
Ten,
Bible goes west.
Ten, we got to give you a round of applause because you're actually our first brown girl on the podcast.
Let's fucking go!
So when you said you would do it, I was like, yes. And I know some people could be flaky and they don't show up. So when you was like, yeah, I'll be there in 1 minute, I was like, yes, let's get it. I got one. That's what's up. I really don't see one of my good friends in comedy. His name is Tony Cruz. He's a Mexican. I really don't see too many brown skinned women in Columbus. Are you the only one in Indianapolis? Or are you one of many, one of few?
I'm one of few. I mean, we definitely have some beautiful Black goddess comedians, but not a Latina or Filipino. And I'm trying to every day. I'm just trying to get them to hang out. I'm like, hey, are you 5'2" and brown? Please come do comedy with me. There is like we're all scattered. I feel like every comedy scene in the Midwest has like their token brown person. It's a variations of Asian. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Every time I go to like, there's a Rakisha who lives over in Cincinnati. She started in Indianapolis and then she moved. And so every time I go see her, it's like summer camp. I'm like, there's a brown woman in the room. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Out of my way.
I love it, man. I love it. I've never realized. Well, I mean, I guess when you grow up in the world, you be like, okay, this world is diverse. But I guess when I started doing comedy, I started to realize just how diverse it is. And like I said, we don't have any brown skinned women up here. What is your ethnic background? Because sometimes I'll be feeling bad if I say Hispanic, but then they prefer Latino.
It's real weird. So my mom is very white, and then my dad's Mexican Filipino, and I'm just like, here. Regardless, half of this was colonized.
So when you say Mexican Filipino, is that like African American? Like it's just like like he's Filipino, but he's Mexican and he's like, yeah, like is that what you mean? Like
To be fair, like the Philippines isn't obviously an island off Asia. But
uh,
what happened was very similar to Mexico. The Spaniards came in. They're like, this ours now, and we're like, no, please don't. So it's inherently very Spanish and very much like weird. It's weird because I don't know how to identify half the time because I'm just like,
uh,
I'm raised by a white mom. So
yeah.
um, so it's like it's fun. That's the best way I can call it because I definitely
Yeah.
don't speak Spanish. I'm right now learning through Duolingo, and I don't speak, and I don't speak Tagalog. Like I'm just now learning a little bit Tagalog phrases because my significant other is also Filipino mixed, and so
Okay.
I get little lessons every now and then.
Hey, yo. So like straight up, I'm 5'5.5", and I think me dating a Filipino would work just height wise. Do you know anybody?
Yes, short king. We support you. No, this I've been loving that people are just like short kings. I'm like, yes, short kings are a gem in this world. As like
Yeah.
being part Filipino, we get some around somebody 5'5" or 5'6". You're like, wow, you're like so tall. You're like so. I've done the research with short. Like I've dated taller guys. That shit does not work. Tall
Yeah.
men, there's no rhythm. Like one,
Yeah.
they're really tall and lanky, and they have to hold themselves up. So like missionary doesn't work. So they're like all the way up here, like like their pecs are here. I'm like, this doesn't work for me. Like the only position that works is like doggy, and I'm like, I want to look at you sometimes, pal. But like
Yeah.
when I get with another short person, I make the joke that me and my significant other, when we got together, because we're both very little, I was like, no, it's like a little dust ball in a cartoon. You just like, it's a little thing, little hands pop out sometimes.
That is funny. That is hilarious. Yeah, man. 'Cause I just get, well, black girls, man, they just be like, "How tall are you?" That's the first question they ask. I'm like, "Bitch, what the fuck that got to do with my heart, though? Like, what the fuck?"
It's just like, my heart's not 5'6",
Yeah,
but it
man.
tries to be.
Shit's crazy. So I was thinking about it. I was like, I love my African American women, but they just the millennial ones. They was raised differently. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to see. Where's the Afro Latina? Where's the Philippines? Like where are they at? Because like I'm like I need to date somebody that is right in my height requirement. Like it's just right there. Like there's no other option but my height.
I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Either like Filipino, Afro Latina, like I feel like they don't mind. They're like, no, we know what works. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, but short people I always thought so here's my motto. Like I came up with a motto probably like maybe early college. My motto is it takes a real man to be a short man. Like straight up. It's like if anybody was to like choose, like, okay, if God was like, here, I'm gonna let you choose and you can have all your attributes and stuff, nobody would want to be short. Nobody. So you gotta have so much confidence as a short man. It's crazy.
God, this is hardest request to short men. I have noticed. I feel like short men like definitely had to like quote unquote compensate. They're just like, yeah, I'm short, but I'm like so good at eating pussy, and I, I have so much personality. So you can be mad I'm not tall. So yeah, I might need a step stool to get you cereal, but like we're gonna have so much fun.
And we live longer too. That's the very beautiful thing about it. We live long. Nobody want no 7 feet one giant that's only gonna last to 52. That's not cute. No, that's not cute at all, man. That's what's up, man.
I like my men not to be like Great Danes where their hearts are bad because they're so giant. I need a medium dog.
Out here dating Great Danes. That's what's up. That's actually pretty funny.
Dibs, dibs, dibs.
So I've met a few comics from Indianapolis. You guys are all cool. You guys are all funny. What is it like being how is the Indianapolis comedy scene welcoming to a woman, and then on top of that, a woman of your ethnic background?
Brother, let me tell you something. This took a hot minute for me to be like feel included. I've been doing comedy for like 10 years. And if we don't include COVID or that time I lived in Muncie, 5 years tops. But like I started before COVID and it was like 2012, 13 or something. And it was a boys club and it was fucking gross. Every boy was trying to be Anthony Jeselnik. Every man was wearing flannel. Every man was white. And I'm just like, yay, we're here. And like being so new into comedy and me learning how to write enduring in that space was very hard and like definitely like made me sad. I always talk about this like with a lot of my people in my comedy scene because we noticed the change when COVID happened. Everything shut down. We were not able to get that outlet of like I need attention on stage and I need to have like that rapport with an audience. And then everything during COVID with like a bunch of Me Too stuff and a bunch of like just all the race shit that was going on. It was like a bunch of white people were like, oh my God, that's our bad. We're so sorry about that one thing you guys were going through. We're definitely gonna book you now more often. That was just something I noticed. Like the minute things opened up, we were able to hit mics again. I think a lot of us came in with the mindset of like, all right, I'm finally able to do the thing I like and I'm going to go hard in the paint. And like, it was also like one of those things like, one, I'm bringing my whole pussy to the set. Two, luckily, I think everyone realized they needed to start booking more brown and queer women in general. They were like, oh shit. So this took a hot minute and it's a good and bad thing that it happened the way it did. I definitely feel like we are now at a different mindset in our comedy scene. The biggest thing is like getting a variety of a lineup. I will say I had noticed for a hot minute that it was just like, oh, cool, I'm the diversity hire. Damn it. That's fine. I'm happy to be here. Please pay me my drink ticket.
Hey, yo, like, all right. I've been talking to comics about this up here. Is it, I get, so I'm only like, so I'm about 4.5 years in, and I am so tired of just doing stand up in front of all white people. Like I'm just so tired. Like
it's not fun. It's like real weird. I was like, rather not.
It's so like it's like, all right, come on, guys. There's nobody else that want to come. Like it's so because like I think maybe because I do still have a 9 to 5. Like I work with white people, and then it's like you gotta act a certain way to make them feel comfortable at work. And then it's like, okay, I'm off work. I can be myself for a couple hours, but then I go to this open mic or I go to this show, and now I'm back in front of white people. And then sometimes some white people be cool, like some white audiences, they be like, all right, cool, we'll let you do whatever. We'll go on this journey with you. And then some of them, they try to, how I say is, try to keep you in this box. For me, it's like, he's a black comic, so we expecting all these nigga jokes. Like he got a baby mom, he got roaches, and it's like that's not my life. Like that's not what I talk about. So it just be like my shit don't be connecting with them, and I'm at a point now where I'm older where I could decipher the two. It's like okay, it's not me. I'm not gonna blame the crowd, but it's not me. It's just that my shit don't mesh with them. You know what I'm saying? So like when you see all these white people in the audience, which white people are cool, they're fine, they're good at sucking dick. You get it, but. Well, like, how does that make you like feel? Do you feel like you gotta? Because I know, blacks and whites, we're not like this. So sometimes I feel like I'm up there tap dancing. Like, do you feel the same way, or do you change your set? Like, how do you when you see that and you don't see the people that look like you? How do you react to that?
Brother, let me tell you something. I feel like I've been doing comedy in fucking front of white people for my like because we're in the Midwest. It's gonna happen, and I get that because I also work a 9 to 5, and I'm constantly having to be like. Be nice, spicy. And I had to extra compensate in general. But like growing up in a place like a country town, I've always had that mindset. I'm just like, whiten up your talk right now, and like I hate that mindset. And so when you go to a show, for the longest time, I felt like I definitely catered to more white audiences because that's how I got booked. Everyone loves the funny brown girl who's talking like she knows a bunch of wrestling references, which I do. But I definitely noticed for the longest time, I'd fucking cater to it. And now getting like it's already being weird being someone brown and getting into my culture late in life. So I'm like, as I've gotten more into learning about who this is, I've definitely just been about like, all right, I am somewhere in the middle, but I'm definitely not going to cater to this side anymore because it feels like colonizing, and I don't
Yeah.
like it. And it's hard because I'm like I want to enjoy what I write, but I still desperately need attention and I need people to laugh at me. So it's a battle every time I do comedy because I'm like I'm gonna make the jokes that I really like, and if you guys don't like it, I will cry later about it, but it's fine. But
Yeah,
for
yeah.
now,
I've had to put my foot down as an artist and be like, these are the jokes I'm telling you guys are either get on board or you're just going to get lost. Where we're going on a journey, you can go with me or
mhm.
not. Because I just get so, it's like, okay, what's going to make these people laugh? And it's like, yeah, but I don't want to tell that joke today. Like, I want to tell this joke. Like,
The tap dancing feeling is very surreal. I'm just
yeah,
like, I know that this crowd's gonna respond better to this, especially if you ever do corporate shows. You're
yeah,
like, I really want money, but I'm gonna be so depressed during this set, and I'm
yeah,
probably gonna autopilot, which is just like the reality of performing. Because I'm like, I want everyone to have a good time. I'm gonna hate every minute of it.
yeah, yeah.
It
I see it as like growing pains though. Like, I feel like no matter what your artistry is, you might not have the per se audience that you would like to have or whatever. And then you're in front of all these different audiences, you get your critiques back, and then eventually you pop, and whoever fucks with you. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I go to rap concerts and I'd be surprised who's in the audience. So I kind of just see it as that. But one thing I've started doing is like when I produce shows, I'll actually book a white comic or two just to let them see how it feels to be in our shoes. Like just you tell these jokes in front of all because your little black jokes worked in front of your little white people. Now you tell this same black joke in front of this all black crowd, see what type of reaction you get.
How's that feel? That is very, that feels so very seen. Growing pains is a real thing, or just like finding your audience. I worked a couple weekends with Brad Williams, and he was one of the nicest people I ever worked with. But like, we straight up had a conversation about like finding your audience. He's just like,
Yeah,
I cannot wait till someone do you find your audience because it's like there's tons of you everywhere. It's just a matter
yeah.
of them finding out who you are and where you're at. And I'm like, I can't wait till I find the other Midwest brown women. I found a few of them and I love them. Actually, when I came to Columbus, there's a nail show that I did there, and I had the best.
What the fuss?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. There was like, it was just one, it was mostly women audience. And I was just
Hmm.
like, hello, bitches. Oh my God. Who's watched The Craft too much? And like that feeling was really nice because I found so many people and I got a nice little following. When I went to Boston, I did their AAPI comedy festival they had there. It was a small little festival, but the all lineup was just Asian Americans, and we were all there. And then the audience was also brown, like jungle Asians were up
Yeah.
front. I was like, let's fucking go. I just to find those people who are like me that grew up in a predominantly white area. I'm just like,
Yeah.
you guys want to complain with me? You want to complain with me? It sounds really fun. Like yesterday, I was at a barbecue. There was two. There was one Filipino and one Latina, and I went up to both of them like, "I'm so happy you're here. Now you just want to talk to me."
Yeah, man. When you have a show, you be like, all right, how many black people are here? Okay, I got two. All right, cool. This joke will work. Like, but like back to what you were saying about like after COVID, how the scene changed. I would say like after COVID here in Columbus, our scene for the most part behind the scenes. So like what I mean by that is like the clubs and stuff, all of that is ran by white men, but like the local shit, like all the local scenes and all the local shows was ran by women. Like they like almost every producer was like a woman, and I was so like geeked about that, happy about that, to see that they had the power and to see what they could do with it. And they had good shows. I did like What the Fuzz, and it was a showed out show. Me and Bridget are pretty cool friends. She's probably one of the only people that I talk to in this scene, and I love that. I love that women get
I love her.
opportunities, and the reason why I do is because so I tell people the person that got me into comedy was my mom. I think my mom is hilarious. I asked her one day what did she want to be growing up. She said a comic. And so when I meet a woman that's funny, I'm like, hell yeah, So when I saw that women were running the show, I love that. And I love that you guys get that opportunity. When you are provided that opportunity, you know, um, to represent women and to represent your ethnic background, how does that make you feel? Because we don't really see too many brown skinned women in the limelight. So how does that make you feel to get those opportunities?
It makes me feel, oh damn. If like little me in comedy, like baby comic me could see me just like, well, look at that bitch. Look at this. For the longest time, I guess I didn't think too much about it other than I felt a little lonely just because
Yeah.
like every day I would go to an open mic, I'm just like, all right, there's none of me. And when I meet newer comics, just because I've been doing it so long and did like be at the point I am in stand up where I'm like pretty consecutively getting booked and I know I have a stance. And when I meet baby comics who were in the same point I was 5 years ago, and they're just like, holy shit, we're here. I'm like, we're fucking here. It is I don't know what to call it because it's not like I'm like, wow, I feel amazing. It's more like, I don't know, it's relief that I'm
Yeah.
seeing more of us. Because the minute I see one of me, I'm like running to them. I'm like, all right, here's all the open mics in my city. Let me know when you're in town. If you need a place to stay, let me know. Like it was,
Yeah.
I don't know what that instinct is. Is it maternal? Is that what that is? Is it mom instincts? Because I'm just like, that's the way it makes me feel. I'm like, I just want more of me.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
really, this sounds really nice. I
yeah.
also love that your mommy inspired you to do comedy. I'm like, we love a short king who has a good relationship with his mom.
Whoa,
It's so
whoa, whoa.
nice.
It took a while to get us there. We didn't start having a good relationship until about a decade ago. Now we're like this. Like it came to
Oh,
a point like me and my mom I would call mom. I remember one time, I kid you not, I called my mom from college and we didn't say anything on the phone. We was sitting on the phone dead silent for like 10 minutes. Nobody said anything and I just hung up.
shit.
And
Mhm.
now I'll call her while I'm at work and first thing in the morning at like 6 o'clock, like almost every day. So it took us a
That's really
while. It was God therapy and for me weed. So it took
nice.
to get there.
It literally took me therapy and comedy to finally have a good relationship with my mom because we definitely had a very similar thing. Like there was like 3 years me and my mom didn't talk. Like
Yeah,
maybe a check in here and there, but I was on a like not talk to her thing. If when
yeah,
you realize your mom's a human and a dick, and you're like, I can't talk to you right now. But now, like, it really wasn't till stand up and me finally like doing the healthy thing where I was just like, oh shit, I realized I was neglected and I'm mad at you.
yeah,
I'll come
yeah,
talk to you in a minute. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, it's beautiful to you do get that relation. For me, I find it good because growing up, you hear like people get set in their ways, but when I look at me and my mom's relationship, I'm like, this is a woman who tried. You know what I'm saying? Who could have
Uh,
just been like, it just is what it is. He ain't gonna like me. I don't like him. But like, she actually like tried. It might not have been the way that I wanted her to, like come to therapy with me and all that bull crap, but like she's actually actively trying, to have a relationship as opposed to my other parent who's just it is what it is. So I commend her for that. Any parent who turns that ship around, because as you get older, you don't want to change. But yeah,
no,
she's
yeah.
inspired me to like keep changing and shit. So yeah.
That is a very lovely thing to see because I mean, when you get to a certain age, I feel like it was my late 20s when I started to really accept that my mom is a human, and then like she was just kind of like she did again. She tried because she was
Yeah.
dealt a certain card, and it was probably like one her childhood environment was shitty. She didn't have the
Yeah.
tools to be a well-rounded parent. They don't. It's like also my mom is a Gen Xer. So they had this weird mindset already. So it took her a long time to be like accountable and communicate to me. And it's she's learning still, but it's nice that that effort is there. I'm like, I appreciate the fucking effort.
Yeah.
Let's go forward.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it was definitely therapy, and then I used to watch Eon Fix My Life, and my mom used to saw me watch that, and then I think when my mom started watching it, she was like, "Okay, I get it. Well, what did I do to you?"
I
Because I remember
love
one time my mom watched the episode. I can't remember what she asked me, but she was watching the episode and she looked and she was like, "Have I ever done that to you?" And I was like, "Yeah, you did." And she was like, "I apologize." And I was like, "Thank you."
that's all I want. I just want you to acknowledge it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's a beautiful thing. You and your mom, you got back on one accord because every woman needs her mom, man. It's life is hard enough as it is as a woman. So yeah, you definitely need your mom, Dukes. Do you desire to be a mom one day?
My hormones want me to have kids because every now and then, because I have two god babies who I love with all my heart, and I'm their backup plan. But
Yeah.
like, I think about how this brain is wired. I'm like, we don't need to put these genetics. Like, don't get me wrong, my babies would be beautiful, but this is sparkle brain. This bad. This comes like I'm undoing a lot of like generational trauma, but like, oh, this comes with bipolar, and this comes with like other stuff. We don't need to do that.
Yeah, I get it, man. I definitely get it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting up there in age. I'll be 34 this year, so I want kids. I don't know when. I don't know when, but I definitely want kids though. But then like some days I'll be like, fuck, I wish I had a kid. But then I'll be like, nah, it costs too much. Like just this
It
world just
costs
costs
so
too much.
much.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I'm okay.
My mom was always very honest with me about like every now and then she gets her hormone thing going. She's like, you should have kids. I'm like, Lisa, we literally just had this conversation. She's like, oh, what? Yeah, that was too stupid. Why would I even say that? Because she's always told me, she's like, one, they never go away. Look at your brother, who's like still lives with my mom. And she's like, two, she's like my mom has always put like that mindset of just like money's an issue.
Yeah.
I know you want to go to college, but maybe don't. Maybe don't. Maybe don't reproduce.
Let me tell you about my mom. So I have a 73,000 dollar bill because of her, because she wanted me to go to college for whatever reason. I didn't have the grades to go to college. I graduated high school with directly a 2.0, and she was like, no, you gotta go to school, like you gotta go. And I'm like, but look at the transcript. I don't think,
But look
no,
at
I
this.
don't think. Yeah. So I was like,
You'll have a pool.
I don't want to go. And then she got all mad and stuff. And then I go, right. And you apply for the loans and you get the Parent Plus loan. And my mom was like, well, I don't have the credit to co-sign for this. And I was like, and I don't have the credit nor the grades. So why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? I remember doing the same thing because I went to Ivy Tech for literally a semester. And because I had the mindset, one, I was a brat. Two, I was like, it costs money. I shouldn't do this. But like,
Yeah.
I remember doing the student loan thing, and my mom was straight up like, oh, I cannot help you with this. I was like, well, what the fuck? And like,
Yeah.
I've been actually working on a bit. Like, my mom was never upset about me doing stand up comedy. She's like, it's not costing me money. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Because she was like
Yeah.
always very much like, you could go to college. Like, like,
My mom wasn't playing. We was right at that library signing that loan. She looked at me dead in my face. I don't have the credit for this. I'm like, Mom, we don't got the money. We don't got the credit. Now I'm just stuck with this bill and a degree that she's so happy that I have. But I'm just like, my nigga, like the bill though, the bill. I'm about to forward it to her and be like, y'all can give it to her. She wanted me to, and I just started paying student loans back. Guess how much money I got to pay back every month?
don't tell me, it's gonna make me so sad, but tell me.
$11. That's $11 too much. That's
It's
$11.
$11 too much.
It's $11 too much, man.
What's your degree in?
Sociology.
That's cool, but also again, that bill though is like,
I
oh
know,
my
man. I know.
God.
I know.
I just have
But
card debt. Ugh.
when I think about it, it really helps me with comedy because sociology is just the study of people and their behavior. So I mean, it falls in line, but I don't think it was worth 73,000 though. I definitely don't think. But every time I call, because they won't let me pay my credit card. So they was like, we won't let you pay. We can't let you pay with your credit card because people in the past were paying their student loans and then filing for bankruptcy. And I was like, okay, makes sense. So you got to pay with your debit card. So I'm like, if I pay with my debit card and then I file for bankruptcy, isn't that the same thing? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So then I'll be like, okay, so if I pay this bill and then I move overseas, I'll never have to pay you guys again, right? And they was like, well, technically no. And I was like, all right, it's my last payment. So every time I pay, I tell them that.
You know what? Good. Do that shit.
Yeah.
I love it.
So back to the comedy, man. I feel like you have a wide variety of so much that you can talk about. What is like your writing style? Like, how do you figure out, okay,
Mm.
this is what I'm gonna talk about? What is like too far? Because you are telling your story. It's not too many people that maybe look like you or been through what you've been through. So how do you decide like your writing style and what are you gonna talk about?
So when I think about my writing style, I've always been super into storytelling comics. Like I really enjoy like growing up, I really liked John Leguizamo and I really liked Robin Williams and first unfortunately like another white man is Christopher Titus, but I liked how they did their writing and I liked like kind of like I think about the storytelling, how I would talk to my friends about like something that was going on that week or with my mom and I naturally make jokes because trauma. And so I would think about like how would I always communicate to my friends about something and I would make little quips naturally in my brain and I kind of carried that with the writing from like where I'm at now. Definitely my writing style is very different from like 10 years ago because I look about like how I was doing jokes when I first started. It was obviously not myself. I was definitely trying to be my favorite kind of comic and eventually you learn. So when I think about like where how I write now, it's definitely all conversational because the way I want to come off like I love a stand-up comic who can do put on a character and engulf you in a certain way or do like quick dry like little tags, but I'm very much like I'm going to basically make this a journey where we are at brunch and I'm talking hellish shit
Yeah.
and make it very conversational and very natural. I don't do a whole lot of crowd work. I still like that little bit of control. Crowd work technically stresses me very out. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty, I'm like, I want this to be a conversational piece, but I want it to flow very naturally. And it's all to me in my mindset, it's all about getting them on the inside joke about how I'm seeing something. Because again, people don't always relate to being brown in the Midwest.
Mhm.
But the thing is that we can do is like have observations and kind of go from there. Because I think that's the biggest thing with stand up. It's just like we're observing and reporting. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. Yeah. So it's about getting everybody on the same page, but I try to do the cutest way possible.
Yeah, yeah. When I first started, I thought I was like a physical comic and like a storyteller. And then quickly after that, I realized. So I started a little bit before COVID. Then when COVID happened, we took a couple months off. I still count COVID months because you were, as a comic, you write, and if you were writing, then I feel like you were a comic. So, but once I came back from COVID, like once everything started opening up. I was like, I don't know what I am, so I just would go up there. But now I feel like and it'll probably change again. But I feel like I was like, just be more myself. I'm more of an observational comic, like
Ooh, I like
just
that.
like that's just me, like all day, every day. Like I'll be like, look at this person, they look like such and such, such and such. I just realized that maybe everybody don't get my references, but I guess that's on them, not me. But like, yeah, I'm an observational comic. So like when you are writing your jokes, do you set aside time like okay, on Tuesday I write, or do you write every day, or do you just write when you like feel inspired?
When I feel inspired, I try to do the sit down thing. No, this is too much for me. I try to, and like I feel like when it's forced, my body can't do it. But I did notice what I got into a habit of was I do voice recordings on my phone, or I'll like try to use my notes app. I've gotten away from using notebooks over the past few years. But if I do have a notebook, it's like sticky notes. It's very random. I have
Yeah,
too many like journals just scattered. I'm like, anything that's near to me that's like I'm like, all right, hurry and write this, keep this. We're gonna work on it somewhere. And then I try to like basically throw it up and I'm open mic. I'm like, just makes sense to anybody, or I'll accidentally like try it out on coworkers. I'm just like,
yeah.
this one thing happens.
I don't have the strength to. I've never. I tried. I mean, I freestyle journal a couple of times this year. I think probably tells the tail end of last year, but I just don't have the strength to like put pen and paper and write. Like I don't know. I always just write in my notepad in my phone. Like I then I
Mhm.
see some people lose the notebook. I'm like, and then the panic on their face. I'm like, I ain't doing that for no piece of paper. Like I'm just not. Nah, I
No, it's
always
so
write.
much better to have this on your phone because I can rearrange a set real fast. I'm like copy, paste, I'll move it around this, and it
Yeah,
just like helps my brain. I'm like, don't get me wrong, I love a good writing session, but this definitely fucking helps.
yeah,
I will say this. I also feel the same way. I can't force myself to write unless I am given like homework. So I started doing shows that were called what are they called? Evening with the Authors. That's here in Indy at the White Rabbit. So basically, they used to have things, but they don't do so much now. But they're like basically you write how do I say this? you ever seen somebody read an excerpt from a book from that they wrote and it's like
Yeah,
at a like bookstore? So basically that's that, but you can literally take it with any direction you want. Like I did a story, basically I was reading from my business pamphlet because I was a professional wedding guest and I made this whole character. So that is a good way to like get yourself into a motion of like, I want to write something so different and kind of exercise that part of my brain that I've never really utilized is when do a weird show, do a weird storytelling show or a show where you have to semi put on a character. You don't have to do that, but it's like do weird shows. So it definitely exercises some kind of creativity because I do see the benefit of forcing yourself to journal or like write anything. Because I have a friend here in Gwen Sunkle here in Indianapolis. She's wonderful. She is a fantastic writer, and it's because she literally constantly is writing. She like that muscle is being exercised. I'm like,
yeah.
but my brain's full of ADD. I want that.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I would say that I write every day. Would it be like me picking up my phone and writing in my notepad? I would probably say not every day. And then some days I might just write like a line, like a tag or a premise, or I might be like, oh, let's change this tag and write that. I'll be like, okay, I wrote for today. But like to be honest, like I don't want to say like once a week, but definitely a few times a month, I will sit down. Like I plan on doing it today. Once we get done here, I will sit and write for like an hour. Like I'll just have all these premises stack up, and then once they start stacking, I'll be like, okay, we gotta flush this out and just start writing this shit. And then I'll just sit down. I'll throw on some music, and then
Mm,
I'll spark up a blunt, and I'll just sit there and write for an hour and just get
that
lost in
sounds like
thought. I love writing. Yeah. I don't know if I could sit and write. Like if I didn't have a 9 to 5, I could sit and write like at least an hour or 30 minutes every day, just trying to work on jokes. But like since I have a job, sometimes I'll be like, all right, I don't want to do that today. But yeah, I'll sit down for at least about an hour, sometimes even two, and just sit down and just write.
oh, I love that more than anything. I miss when my brain, like when I first started doing comedy, I had this instinct in like part of my body that could just force myself, like, because I would like, I wanted to get the ideas out right away. And now it's
Yeah,
just so very scattered because of like, for me, it's my day job takes so much of my energy. I'm a lead, which is fucking weird already. But like my brain power is almost like I'm fucking tired. So this will get
yeah,
written eventually. But oh my God, I love when my sparkle, me and my mom make jokes because I have type 1 bipolar. It's so fun. But it like is the best part of my brain that it makes me super creative. And I love when my brain is just like, you know, it sounds really good. Let's mindlessly write real hard in the paint right now. And let's also
yeah.
get ripped. Let's put on some like weird music and we're just gonna vibe out. It's a good and bad thing because I'm about to like go on a rampage of cleaning the house. But man, I get it's a blast. Like when I tell my mom this, she's like, "Did you get so much done?" I'm like, "I got so much done." She's like, "Thank you."
Well, not only that, man, you actually co-produced the Spicy Magic Comedy Night, which is there in Indianapolis. How did you come up with the title? I always feel like the titles would catches people. How did you come up with the title? How did you come up with how did you want to run your show? Because it is a show by a brown skinned girl who's doing her brown skin thing. So how did you come up with this concept?
So the show originally started as a podcast with my friend Daryl Hollandquist Jr., who is very versed in stand up and improv. And we kind of just like we started a podcast. Definitely, it was like pandemic, and then we were like getting ripped one day. Like, do you want to start a podcast? Yeah, let's do it. And what started as like we were gonna cover like just daily things. We used to have a lot of like consistency, and then we got really busy with our day jobs. So right as we were kind of getting some traction on our podcast, we're just like, I really want to do a live show or something that's an offshoot. We didn't have the means to do a live recording yet. We just did our first live recording last like a couple months ago, and that was so fun. But now it's kind of like the main thing is the live show, and then the podcast is just like a recap because the podcast was a like we're covering movies like we had a thing called side flicks. We'd cover certain music artists. Like we did a 2-hour episode about Rihanna's like album. Like it was so wonderful. But now the live show, when our biggest thing is because Daryl has access to a lot of the most amazing improv like performers in like Indy. And then we both have access to a lot of stand-up comics from like most of the Midwest. So that was our big thing. But sorry, backtrack to the title thing. We honestly, the title was just like, I don't know, we just get together. It's kind of, we talk about spicy stuff, and like sometimes it's a vibe and sometimes it's pretty magical. It was high thoughts. That's pretty much it. We were just torched and doing drugs in my living room, and we were just like, we figured it out. So when we started doing the live show, a lot of people were like, "Is there going to be magic?" I'm like, "No, there's not going to be magic because I don't like magicians."
Yeah.
Boo. But no, like now it's become like it's evolved into a variety show. So we have like stand up, improv, but also monthly we'll interchange it between burlesque, drag, and occasionally music guests.
Okay.
It's evolving. So every show we've done is a little different, but there is one unanimous thing, and that is this thing called the it's a bucket with Usher's face on it, and it's called like the confession bucket. It started in the podcast is like we had people DM us and we would talk about it anonymously, so people can confess their stuff or ask for advice. And then it became like a thing I would say on the podcast. I'm like, tell us your confessions, because I couldn't remember the words. And then it just stuck. And
Yeah.
like it took to that, and then it turned into the live show. Now we just have a bucket with Usher's beautiful little face, and I go up to every person. I'm like, would you like to tell us your confessions? We won't say your name on stage, but
Yeah.
it's become a thing where we interact with the stand-up comics. So we'll have a stand-up comic perform or the improv perform, and it was like, would you like to pull a confession? And we're all going to talk about it, and hopefully they don't tell them themselves. It's I don't know how to describe it other than it's like you're still in the living room with your friends and you're being really
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah. That's a dope concept with so much variety on one show. How is your how are you selling it? Meaning, like, what's your sticking point to make people come to the show, or is it because it's a myriad of things that you can get? Is that the sticking point?
I think the sticking point is that it's like there's definitely it's heavy based on the comedy, but it's a variety show that there is going to be a lot of things. I noticed
Yeah.
that we definitely got an influx of people coming in when they saw burlesque and drag was going to be there, and that really helped out our burlesque and drag performers get more notoriety, and vice versa, because it brought in people
Yeah.
who wanted to see titties, and they were like, "Oh, stand up!" I'm like, "Yeah, stand
Yeah.
up." I have noticed. I personally like improv. I did find out though, some people not be like it's like improv. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know it was that
Yeah.
deep. I had a friend come to a show and he's just like, I'm leaving. I'm like, why? You just got. He's like, I thought there was improv, Tennah. Fuck you. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know it had that much
Yeah.
energy that you didn't like it.
I love
Um,
it. I love improv. I love
I
improv.
love improv. I'm mostly somebody always pointed out to me, improv is obviously it's yes and, but they are more positive thinkers, and then stand-up's more like negative Nancy's. I was like, yeah. And that's why I'm so jealous of improv people. Like their brains are wired just to be quick. If they like I
Yeah.
really like if you've ever been to Chicago and seen an improv show, like some like it's amazing. I'm just like, man, I wish I could think like that, but I get too nervous. Now, I
Yeah.
think our biggest thing for our live show was just like one, my lineup's going to be brown and queer as hell. And
Hmm.
also, we're just, it's gonna have, I want it to be silly and fun and cozy. I want people to like be like, oh, one, we get to confess stuff. So they might say some shit like, pull my little thing.
Yeah.
I want it to be interactive and goofy. And I love the venue we do it at because they let us be so weird. The White
Yeah.
Rabbit Cabaret. They're great.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, I've been to a burlesque show before, and I've been to a drag show before. Very, very both positive things. I was actually kind of jealous of the drags because I'm like, so wait a minute. Because I think when was the last? I think you see shit in movies, and it could be realistic to it to a certain extent. I don't know what movie I was. I think it was one with like maybe Vin Rhymes and a Holiday Heart. I think he might have did drag, but like so whatever movie I watched, they was doing drag, but they didn't get money. So I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. We just sit here and sing and people just give us money. It's like shit, give me a wig, bitch. I get up there. I ain't gonna shave my legs or nothing, but it's a hairy bitch. Give me my money.
Dude, yeah, my first time doing like a burlesque drag thing, and then they would have a stand up in the middle of it. I think I was in Dayton, Kentucky, and it was a fucking blast. I also
Wait,
didn't realize I was
there's a burlesque or a drag show in Dayton, Kentucky.
every now and then. And like, I think it's because it's right by Cincy, and they're just like, oh, we'll make this work. But whoever does the production for that show, I want to say it was Sean Haight. No, fuck, I can't remember his last name. I'll
Brady.
deal with that later. Yes,
Yeah.
I love him. He booked me for this show. This was like years ago, and I didn't realize I was going to get paid. He's like, yeah, they get tips, and they'll tip you too. I'm like, shut up! I make
Yeah.
so much tip money, and like, I was like very taken aback about how much. I think it's because like burlesque and drag audiences are already set up for fun. And
Yeah.
so when you come in and you're still being fun, they're like, money for the baby. I'm like, oh, money.
Hey man, that's crazy because like I go to Dayton, Kentucky, because I seen you was there too, the Commonwealth Sanctuary. So I go there
Love that
sometimes.
place.
I'll be there actually this week doing a show. Um, that is crazy because Dayton, Kentucky, straight up gives me slavery vibes. Like it's, I feel like the spirit is still in the room because I just be like, bruh, I be like, I do not. I'm soon as I'm off the stage, I'm out. I am.
I'm going home. It's definitely giving college town, but like definitely I feel like because there's some parts of Dayton, Kentucky, just like, oh my God, look at this fun, like frou-frou Japanese donut shop. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
fun. That man in the truck seat staring at me. What do I do? I go to my Kia Soul and I leave.
But I've only been to one part of Dayton, Kentucky. It's just whatever part you take to get to the club, and then I guess that's their downtown area. I don't know. Whatever part is closest to the river. I ain't never traveled through there. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about this place. This place, but shout out to Dayton, Kentucky though. That's what's up, man. I heard you was talking about movies and favorite artists. Real quick, what's the like the last good movie you saw?
Ooh, I love this question. Honestly, Matt scene last night was pretty good. I went to the driving theater to go see it. I really liked it. But I'm trying to think of like a movie I've been on a huge movie kick this past like few months. Me and my significant other just moved and we just like on a day where I don't have anything. I want to do nothing and I want to sit and I want to rot and watch a movie. So I'm trying to think of all the things we've been watching. Fuck. I really enjoyed. Fuck, I want to say not Malignant. It wasn't that. It was just goofy more than anything. Hold on, let me go to the internet. I'm trying to think of a movie I've really enjoyed watching. I've just been watching a lot of shit. If I had to be
Mm.
honest, besides watching like those like Malignant and Maxine, like horror movie stuff, I've been watching a lot of documentary stuff because I'm a true
I
crime.
like dogs.
I'm like every time I tell Ricky what I'm watching, my boyfriend is just like your white woman showing. I'm like, shut up. Now sit down with me as we watch this documentary about cults. It's gonna be fun.
I do like docs. It depends. I'm not really like a docu series guy, but it depends on the topic. But so if it's docu series, I'll be like, eh. But the last doc that I watched was I think it's called The Man That Has 1,000 Kids or something like that.
Oh, that one scares me.
Yeah, it's no, it should scare you. That guy was ruthless. He's ruthless. He's just nutting everywhere on this planet. It's pretty
Dangerous.
disturbing. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
disturbing, but
So
it was good though. That one's on Netflix. That one was cool. So the next question I was going to ask was, who's you did also mention music. Who's your favorite? Like favorite? Let's go favorite new artist. Who's your favorite new artist? Don't necessarily have to be new, like on the scene, but it may be new to you. So who's your favorite new artist?
I love this question. Okay, I'm clearly going to my liked songs because I've been like the past year, I've like my taste has varied a lot. So I've been on a very much like TBH. When I got divorced a few years ago, so I was on a big like sad girl R&B kick, and I got introduced to Summer Walker, and I was just like, where the fuck have I been for sad girl R&B? Oh, let's fucking go! I'm trying to cry, brother. Um, so let's see. I've been into why the fuck is it doing this? One second. You wait just a minute. Recently added. Mm, I don't know. It's been a lot of Bryson Tiller and stuff like that.
Okay.
Leanne La Havas. If you like jazzy sad girl music, it's been a vibe. So that's been kind of what's newer-ish to me. But then I still listen to a lot of old stuff that I like was listening to like 10 years ago. So put
Yeah.
on some emo girl shit. If you put on my cam, you're gonna watch this bitch scream. So
So I didn't get married, but I was engaged, and we ended that very quickly, thank God. And
jealous. I wish I
so I
ended mine
started.
sooner.
So I started to listen to well, I was listening to her before, but definitely started listening to her when the breakup was going on. That is Cleo Soul. I love Cleo Soul. That is my bitch. She gets me right all the fucking time. I love Cleo Soul. And then he's not new. I heard his name before, but then I was like, I listened to probably like a song or two, and I was like, but then I started getting to him real heavy this year is Little Russell. Love Little Russell.
Ooh,
Yeah, I love
I've been
Little Russell.
on Mexican OT has been really fucking good because
I do love him.
yeah.
I
Oh,
do love
fuck.
him.
I love a lot of Southern rap. So like give me Mexican OT 3-6 and then fuck, what is his name? He's got like a turquoise grill and I cannot remember his name for the life of me. Shit. It's like I can't remember the name of the artist, and that's gonna bother me. I'll deal with it later. But I've been on a very much like, oh god. Also, Paul Wall's back in my life. I was like, oh
Yeah. I was
no.
about to say that
I
because
got
I like OT because he is from Houston, and I just feel like artists from Houston they're just so different. They're so different,
Mhm.
and he reminds me of Paul Wall the way he raps a little bit, and then I also like him because he links up sometime from time to time with one of my favorite rappers of all time. His name is Les dollar signs. I love Les. That is my guy to the day I die, and they're both down. I don't know if Les is Mexican. He kind of looks like it, but yeah, I love it. I would go to Houston, but they're having an outbreak right now, so I'm cool. Not gonna go.
I don't want I actually so here's the thing. I love so much music from Texas, but I'm also like, I do not want to go to Texas
Yeah.
because there's just like there's too much sound like sundown towns for me, and I'm just like, I'd rather fucking not.
I used to live in Texas for a very brief period of time. Haven't been back since. I don't, I'm okay.
I'm okay. Like,
But
I don't get me wrong, I don't mind the weather there. It's very like humid and it got a little bit of desert. I like the variation there, but I'm just like,
yeah,
y'all scary. Y'all scary. Texas
yeah,
is its
yeah,
own thing. You know how like Miami is its own thing in Florida? Texas is its own thing in America. It's like, no, no,
yeah,
no, that's not us right there.
for sure,
Mm.
man. Plus, they don't got sewers, so like when it rains, it floods, and I'm like, I don't. I mean, I get it, but that's okay. Yeah.
I don't like
Ten,
that.
as we start to wrap this up, I always ask the same questions for everybody. Who is on your Mount Rushmore for comedy?
Oh my God. I'm gonna be really sad. You're not gonna judge me because half of it is white men.
Go ahead.
Um, I fucking love John Mulaney. I love John Mulaney with my whole heart. I just love that goofy, skinny bastard and all the things he's going through. So it's like John Mulaney, Robin Williams, even though I'm finding out now that he stole a lot of jokes, I'm just like, fuck, damn it. Um, John Leguizamo, just on writing alone, the fact that he did a whole special about the story, like the history of Latino culture and where it like thrived from. That's and like the invasion of Spain. Love it. And honestly, I want to say Margaret Cho, maybe Eliza Schlesinger, because I really liked Eliza Schlesinger when I first got into stand up and it showed. I was like, I love her cadence more than anything. But Margaret Cho is a really good storyteller and is just OG. I love her very much.
Yeah, yeah. If there, if anyone's listening to this right now, what piece of advice could you give to a comedian that is listening to this right now?
There's not one way to do this. And I feel like a lot of people think, especially with the uphill of TikTok and people constantly showing videos of them doing crowd work, I'm like, that's going to work for them. Some of those comedians actually put in the effort and that works for them. They're able to have the means to go hard in the paint and actually go through the effort. And then some of them go too fast, too furious, and it's not good in the long run. I feel like I, I'm a big believer that the hustle culture shit needs to take a seat back. I think you cannot pull from an empty cup. It's okay to take your time into this, put the effort if you really want to do this. But hear me out, go to sleep, drink some water, talk to your friends. Because I feel like for the longest time, my mind was to like, I'm gonna work so fucking hard, and I missed out on years of things with my friends and my family because I like was so zoned in into doing stand up and being so good at this. Like it definitely helped me out, obviously, because I am getting booked regularly. But again, can't pull from an empty cup. Be nice to yourself. And also, they don't know you're going to fuck up. I think that's the biggest thing when you are doing a show. I think newer comics go into it and they're like, oh shit, I fucked that bit up. I'm like, don't tell me. Don't tell anybody you just fucked up. They don't know. You might have messed up your wording and it probably didn't make sense, but truck through it. You'll be fine. They don't know you're going to fuck up. And then also, there's no bombing on an open mic. Everybody's bombing. You're working on your art. And that's okay. So I think a lot of times also when you're new into comedy and you're in front of your peers and you're just like, I just want all of them to think I'm amazing. I'm like, they might, but just keep showing up and putting in the effort. Don't be mean to yourself because it's not perfect.
Message.
Tenn, tell people why they should listen to Comedians in Bed.
Because it was a cozy time. It was like a slumber party. It's like you're hanging out with your friends. I did feel like I should have been on my bed with my little tootsies up, but then I would have given, I don't want to give my feet for free. I'm just like, beep, beep, beep.
That's what's up, Tenn. People, tell people where they can reach you at.
You can find me on Instagram at Horchata Del Rey. You can also find me on TikTok at Lumpy Tentacles. I don't do much on there. I used to, and then I have a day job that takes my soul. So womp womp.
Hey man, if you want to catch next week's episode, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel at TYE Comedy. That's the same as my IG. You can listen to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. But if you miss it and you want to catch weekly clips, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Comedians in Bed Podcast. Once again, we want to thank you guys for joining us this week. We want to also thank Tenn. If you're in Indianapolis, please check her out, support her, do all the great things to show that you love her comedy and love her. Tenn, we want to thank you one more time. Everybody else,